good morning. Happy 1st of July. I want to talk about my experience in Kenya and also kind of like do a recap on experience here and why I came here. I have been in Kenya for 4 weeks. It's been an incredible experience. I don't really know what to say. When I say I don't really know what to say, it means I want to cry. Because God has been really faithful in everything. Just want to thank him for that. And anyone who's watched my my first kind of Kenyan vlog, just be prepared for the way that I abuse my face when I'm putting on my foundation. I'm so sorry. It looks more painful than it is. It's not that painful. It's been a really nice, incredible experience to be here. I don't know, I don't have words. I don't really know what to say, but let me start off by kind of my experience with Kenya and why I'm so like in love with the country. Parents first and foremost are from Kenya, so that explains why I'm here. Secondly, when I was younger, and I mentioned this in my intro of my last video, when I was younger, say about like 10, I don't know, I always kind of said at first I wanted to be a journalist. So I would say, oh guys, you know, I want to be a journalist, and there was always this thing in my heart, I want to be a journalist because I want to go back and I want to help people. At one point I wanted to go into politics, believe it or not. If anyone knows Kenya, they know that Kenyan politics is something. Sorry if I'm sniffling all the time, that might be really annoying, but I'm kind of just recovering from a cold. And I would say that I wanted to come back to Kenya and make a difference, and you know, that has never really left me. And I've come to be of the understanding now that when God gives you a heart for something, God puts desires in our hearts for a reason. And especially at that young age, when I had there was no ulterior motive for me to say I want to go back to Kenya to help people. I believe that was like kind of the purest time of me kind of saying, oh, you know, I really want to go back and I want to make a difference and I want to help people. And now I'm not in the field of politics, though I did study politics at AS level. Though I did study politics for like my A levels the first year, but British politics is boring, man. So I just quit it when it came to the second year. But it was kind of all leading up, kind of in the same vein of things. So it was kind of journalism, me saying, I want to do journalism, to go into journalism, news, to maybe be a newscaster. Then in A levels, I kind of got a passion basically for film, and I did film in A level as well. And I was like, wow, this is something that I really want to do. This is something that I'm really passionate about. I'm passionate about film. I really enjoyed the course, and at the time I had applied to go and do journalism, and I had actually gotten a place at Hertfordshire to do journalism, but I deferred it because I wanted to take a gap year. So thank God for parents who can let you do something like that. And during that time I got to just sit down and spend some time with God and spend some time with myself and just really decide about what I wanted to do. If most people will believe me, or if they will, not that they won't believe me, but like, I don't know if people will, it's random basically. It's in hindsight that you connect the dots. So basically during that time, I remember there was a point where I was like, God, show me my purpose, show me what I'm supposed to do with my life, help me decide, I don't know what to do. I had my place deferred with Hertfordshire, and I was just deciding. And I remember I was searching, and I believe that it's in those times that you're like searching for something, that you're really kind of hungry for it, that you will find that you are more open to realizing what it is that God wants for you. So I remember calling this guy, and he's actually on here. You can look for him if you want. His name is Earl Blackman. So he had he's like local in my area in where I stay in England. I called him because at the time he was a minister. He's also a life coach, and I was like, I need help to try and decide what to do with my life. I need help. So guys, guess what he told me to do? So I got on the phone to him and I was like, look, he probably doesn't even remember this. I think I reminded him at one point, but I don't think he remembers. So I was like, look, I don't know what to do with my life, so can you please show me what I need to do? Well, not show me, but can you help me decide? And I explained to him some of the things that I'm passionate about. So he told me, get off the phone, I want you to spend 5 minutes, or I want you to spend as long as it takes. Ask God, what am I supposed to do in 5 years time, in 10 years time, and in 15 years time? So I was like, okay, I'll do that. And I was a bit mad. Okay, so I just got off the phone, I was in my room, and I just started praying. And I don't even know if I was praying, like, it wasn't any like spiritual tongues prayers or anything like that. But I was just praying, and I was asking God, what do I need to do, and stuff like that. And believe it or not, in that moment in time, he dropped in my heart like what I believe was kind of my calling and what I was supposed to do. And it had to do with film, and it had to do with giving back. So I was like, okay, wow. I told him, so in 5 years time, and I at the time, I still write like journal and stuff, but at the time I was very consistent with it. So I know it's somewhere in some of my journals in one of the attics. So I wrote down one of the attics, as if we have multiple attics, in the attic at home, or in a cupboard somewhere, store cupboard. So I wrote down what it was supposed to be in 5 years time, in 10 years time, and in 15 years time. And I called him back and I told him. So he was like, cool, so what do you need to do to get towards that? And I said, okay, I need to have a degree in film. Okay, so I did the UCAS reapplication process, and I applied to do film practice in University of the Arts London. And yeah, I think can I say the rest is history? Yeah, I went to school. That was from 2013 to 2016. I went to university, graduated with a 2-1, if you really want to know. It was a good experience, but the most powerful part of it was the third year, the last year, the people that I worked with, the ability to be able to, and even in my dissertation, I was able to really I did my dissertation on Nollywood, because I wanted to do it on Kenyan film, but there's really no content on that. So I ended up doing it on, what's it called? On Nollywood film. So yeah, that's kind of, and then during that process, I really kind of just was loving the fact that I was able to really explore on a really deep level. It was like this kind of oneness with God almost, because I was understanding the way things worked and why things are the way that they are in Africa. I was understanding how we've been made. I was understanding about even going back to, it was beautiful. It was beautiful, basically. And once I graduated, I was like, right, I'm going back to Kenya. And the reason why I did that is because when I was 18, I'd been multiple times before, but when I was 18, I don't know if it was a coming of age thing, but there was something about going at the age of 18, my eyes were opened, and I was aware of how much the continent, how much the country had developed, and I was like, wow, I really want to be a part of this. This is amazing. Because the last time I think I had went, maybe when I was like 12 or 15, between there, I was like, oh my gosh, this country has just done a madness. I need to be a part of this. So yeah, then I was like, okay. So after I graduated, I went to Kenya. I went to Kenya for 5 months, and in that time I was going because I was part of an organization. So once I was finished my dissertation, I had met this girl, this amazing lady. Her name is Samantha Kezi Weah, and we had connected. The idea that I had said that God had downloaded into my heart about the 5, 10, 15 years. We met one time after a youth conference and at my uncle's place, and we ended up staying up talking till like 4 in the morning because we realized that we had these visions that were aligned. So during that time, she was like, I really want to go back. I have this idea. I'm giving myself a year to put it into action. Come with me. And I was like, hey, why not? So when I went, we had gone with my family on a holiday, and then I had bought a return ticket. So I was like, okay, do I like utilize this return ticket, and I literally was in two minds when that time came for me to go back. I was like, do I go back? I felt like I wasn't prepared. I need to save, I need money, I don't have money, blah, blah, blah. How am I going to do stuff? At the time I had reached out to a friend, not a friend at the time, she wasn't a friend. I reached out to a girl who I knew had a social media company, because I knew if I was going to stay, I needed an income. At the time I knew I needed an income. So I reached out to her, and I knew that I could do that remotely. She works from the UK, but I knew that I could do that job remotely, so I reached out to her and I said, okay, that's what I'm going to use as sustenance to get by. So yeah, I ended up staying, and in that process, working with the friend of mine at the time with the project, which was called, organisation which is still running, it's called Skika Africa, so you can check it out if you want, on Instagram. Made the decision. Well, I was like, right, we need to get connected. She hadn't been in Kenya for a while. We needed to find out if the project was viable and if it was something that was needed. So I just started attending events. I took maths, I did what I had to do to get around, and look at that waist. And I met people, and I wasn't afraid to walk up to people. One of those people being Jackson. So hey Jackson, if you end up watching this, opening doors and connecting. And not that to say that in that time there wasn't a struggle. There was. I did feel so lost. I felt like a bit purposeless. I felt like I was just kind of like hanging around. And so I was like, okay, let me just see what I can do. And at the time I did feel a bit purposeless. I was battling with so many things. I think my mental state was a bit shook up and by the change and everything. How am I going to do this? What am I actually doing here? That process, I ended up just staying till December, basically making networks. We ended up getting winning a competition to be able to use Power 254, the space, like to work out of, and in that we grew more networks and we went to events and things like that. And at the time, so I was doing that, I was working with my cousin who has a production company, and I was also working with the social media company to just kind of get a small income. So December came round, because I had extended my ticket to December at the time. December came round, my mum came back. She basically dragged me out of the country. I did not want to go whatsoever. I hadn't renewed my visa, so we were in trouble. I was just praying that they wouldn't let me go back so that I could stay. And I was telling everybody I was come back in February. Oh, also at the time I was also working at PCA Langata, like just voluntary, doing some media work and stuff. Yeah, and then my mum came back in December, celebrated my birthday. Then we went back home, and I was supposed to come back in February, but life caught up with me and life happened, and so I just ended up not coming back up until 2018. So this experience this time round, I was so petrified to book my ticket, guys. I knew I wanted to come back this year. It's been too long, but I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. No, why was I scared? I was scared because I felt that I wanted to come with a plan. I wanted to come prepared. I wanted to come with a bang. I didn't want to just come back and do nothing. But I remember, I think it was now June, January, March, April time. It was April time, and I was just looking. I had been like on Skyscanner trying to find a good ticket. So I was looking for a ticket, and we saw a ticket for $4.50 at the time. I was with my mum, and I was like, Mom, I had money at the time. I was like, let me book it. I don't know if I should book it. I don't know if I'm ready. But she's like, just book it. So I ended up just booking it and planning then from that point. And what that really taught me in that time was like the power of just kind of going with it, deciding and making a decision, because from that point everything else rolled into effect. Not to say that I didn't have struggles, and not to say that I didn't have hardships, because a month before, I mean, stuff happened with work, clients pulled out. I was working as a healthcare assistant at the time. That's a whole nother story. people telling you, you know, what are you doing? You studied XYZ. But me, in my mind, I had this plan. I was like, I want to go back to Kenya. I want to be able to make an impact. I need money. I don't want to work in the British film industry, which is bizarre to a lot of people, maybe even Jackson, which is bizarre to a lot of people because we were having that discussion. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna get comfortable. Even though even in that job you can get comfortable, the money is nice. But I was like, let me save up. So in that time I saved up for my camera, I saved up for everything. From 2016 to 2018. Not really 2016 to 2018, but 2017 to 2018, mid 2017 to 2018 April time. So I had been planning with a friend, we were discussing about ideas, and I finally came up on the idea. And then here I am, I'm gonna keep the story short. Now here I am in Kenya, and what can I say? The faithfulness of God. Though the vision tarries, wait for it. Tired of doing good and just keep going, because honestly, as I stepped down in this country, and there's a scripture that God gave to me in 2016 that everywhere that your foot steps you will possess, and that was one of like my anchor scriptures in that time. And I really felt that as I stepped down in this country, God just began to open the doors. God began to open the doors, began to show me that, wow, okay, like, you know, like when you don't even know that it's that deep. Like, I didn't know God, I knew you were there, I knew you were on my side, but I didn't know like that. Like, I didn't know that you were gonna go before me like that. I just was so amazed at how he put everything together, how he opened the doors, how the people that I had made the connections with in 2016, I don't know, everything just began to come into fruition, come into being. So I'm saying all of this to say that, one, glory be to God, because he makes all things beautiful in its time. So if you have a vision and you have a desire to do something, continue to trust God, continue to believe him. But faith without works is dead, guys. I'm not preaching, but it's a Sunday, so allow me a little bit. But faith without works is dead. So I was a huge procrastinator. Please, if you don't know the story, go and watch my 2017 review. Huge procrastinator, and one of the things that I really wanted to do in this season, in this year, was to start a project and bring it from beginning to completion. So yeah, in that time I was like, okay, God, like we have to, and I was, do you know what, yeah, you know when you're there like 70%, I was there, not even 70, 60, but God, yeah, God never shows up halfway, he shows up fully. So me in my laxed state, but me still taking that step of faith, God kind of showed up. He showed up and he showed out. And this trip and this opportunity and meeting people who are invested in this country and invested in making a difference. Shout out to Jeff, making a difference. Shout out to Josephine, shout out to so many people. Shout out to Milk. Believe that God's blessing and his hand is upon this country, and he wants to do amazing things. And I know that for me, myself and I, God has given me a vision, personally me, that means that I can be able to withstand what the obstacles may be that people might think of, about working in Kenya. That's because this is my portion. So cut your cloth according to your size. You don't look at me and say, oh, but how will you do it? How will your grace is sufficient for your journey. My grace is sufficient for my journey. So along this journey, I had to even be ruthless with people around me, family, mom, dad, friends, who would try to plant seeds of doubt, and I'd be like, no. This is my journey. This is my walk. This is where God is taking me. I appreciate, I respect, I understand. And you know what? Those people that might not get it in the beginning will be the ones that are coming along on the journey. If you have a vision, if there's something that you feel called to, just do it, guys. But also understand that there's timing, because you know what? In 2016, I wanted to stay so much, but of course we know those that live in Kenya know that 2017 was crazy because of elections, and everything came to a standstill. And it's only actually while I was here in this month, that I kind of had that revelation that maybe God took me out at that time because he knew that had I started anything at that time, had I done anything at that time, it would not have succeeded. So as much as we have our own plans and our own timelines as well, sometimes, because to be fair, when I was leaving in 2016, I wanted to stay so bad. I cried that day that I was praying to God that the visa people would not accept for my visa to be renewed because it had expired. But I just felt the still voice saying, you're going back. And I was like, are you being serious? No. Time, my journey doesn't look like my mom, so she might not understand where I'm coming from, but it's me at the end of the day who will live my life, get to the end of my life, and God will ask me, what did you do with the gifts and the talents that I gave you? And everyone's journey looks different, so I just want to encourage you to embrace your journey. I want to encourage you. I'm going to try and finish my makeup, so I'm going to come to a close, but I really want to encourage you guys to just go for everything that God has for you, but also just work with the timing and be okay about the process in which your life might take you, when you might have a vision for yourself and you might see your life going a different way, because God also, he has his ultimate timeline. So I just kind of really just wanted to share that with you, and I really hope that you feel encouraged. I hope that you feel inspired. I know that I've never shared that story here on YouTube, so I really hope that it impacts you, and I just thank you so much for sharing my journey, and coming along this journey with me, for all the likes, all the comments, all the shares, and also all your advice, all your just your goodness, your like just your goodness, really. Yeah, so you guys know the YouTube drill: like, comment, share, subscribe. Stay in touch, guys, and until the next one.